Hi Craig! Right, I still managed to do it. It has been pointed out to me that I may say right on videos one or two times. So I can't believe I still said it. So I thought what we'll do from here on in, start the video, instead of doing my usual right, whoever put my favourite comment on last week's video will get is that still a hi on next week's video. Shush. Well, this video will be stripping down the front axle to see what's needed. I know definitely need a wheel bearing on that side, probably on the other side, probably 2 track rods, and we'll see how we go as we strip it out. As always, don't forget, if you are enjoying watching this, don't forget to hit the subscribe down there. Don't forget to ring the little bell. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it our grubby thumbs up, and of course don't forget to go have a look around the shop for all the interesting bits, not only to do with this channel, but also some nice handmade stuff that my wife makes. So I'm going to start pulling this out. We've got it jacked up, 2 axle stands at the front. We've got both sides on the wheel nuts cracked off, and yeah, just a case of stripping it down now and seeing what's beyond repair. Right, so we've got the wheel off, not too much trouble apart from a stud there that's non-standard. There is quite a good chance that we may end up at least changing the studs, if not changing the whole hub, depending on what condition it's in. Our issue here is there is a touch of play in there. So we also have something else I'm aware of up here. I don't know if you can see that. We have play up here. That's hopefully is just down to the bolt missing out there for adjusting the track. I'm hoping that hole's not oval, because otherwise that's going to start getting expensive, but I think we should be alright from what I can see at a first glance. We've got a bearing down in here to do on the Kingpin. That seems to be relatively solid, so we might just be able to get away with just a strip of the hub and replacing possibly the track rod, certainly one if not both the bolts up there. So early indications are it might not be as bad as first feared. Right, so this is where we've got to so far. We have a complete strip of the, get this right, near side front of the front axle. We've left the top of the Kingpin mount on the track rod end. The track rod seems in great condition. I don't see any point in pulling it apart for the sake of it. One thing we have found though, just go get me light, is down here we have the power steering ram. That looks very wet to me, so that's going to have to be investigated. I'm pretty convinced you can get a steel kit for that, so I'm not too worried about that. We can have that off and get that rebuilt. Down to the stub axle. There is a bit of wear in there, but I think we should be alright on that. The Kingpin looks in great condition. That just wants a clean down, so I'm very happy with that, even on the actual stub axle end, which, considering how bad the bearing was, I'm really happy with that. That's again just a bit of a clean up, should be all that needs. Hub again, want to do a bit more investigation in this just to be on the safe side. Is it this side or the other side? I'm not sure whether the camera will pick this up. There seemed a bit of a difference in where we're looking. If you look at the gap here compared to the gap here, I think it's just the way it's been machined, but it certainly wants just double checking. Get some measuring gear out and just make sure that's right. But I'm not too worried about that, because that's the bearing that come out of that side, which looks grubby but is in pretty good condition. Unfortunately, the same can't be said of the bearing that come out the back. That there is actually the back bearing outer race, or what's left of it. That just, well, it was just in bits. It's past its best. And then also in the end of here, we also have a bearing that works as, well, keep thrust bearing. Thank you. Good job, I've got somebody with a brain cell. That is the bearing that's come out the bottom of there, which, I mean, that is, I think I can reuse that. Give it a bit of a clean up. No, that bearing has definitely seen better days. So yeah, there's quite a few bits in there that are certainly well beyond their service life, but there's nothing scary. So we're now going to do the other side. Now the other side isn't as bad. Oh, that was the other thing. I didn't realise these are the bolts that come out of here in the axle. No, that's one thing I didn't check. Yeah, there's actually a bit, I don't know if you can just see that. There's a bit of slop between those bearings, these bolts, and the relevant holes. Now, don't know whether that's, I think it is wear on the bolt, but I certainly think we're going to invest in a complete set of 4 new bolts for here. You can see better what it's looking like, because this is the same. You've got a bit of wag in there as well, so we'll get some new bolts from that. Worst case scenario, we can always drill them out and look at putting some bushes in them. So we're getting there. So you can see on that bolt, there's, if it'll focus, no, not going to focus, there is quite a step there. So I'm hoping a new set of bolts should sort that. But that's where we're up to so far. Pretty good so far. Right, so this side, didn't think there's any point in taking the wheel off. I think most of us know how to take a wheel off. I haven't shown you how to take the hubcap off because somebody took them off ages ago and they haven't been present for quite a while. So we've got the split pin out, we've got the castellated nut that holds the wheel bearings on. That's a good fit, that one. This bearing doesn't actually seem to be that much wrong with it. It's just a case that it's a matter of course. I mean, if you look at that, that doesn't look a bad bearing, but we're doing one she's going to be going into full-time work, we might as well do the pair. That said, yes, let me rephrase that. I need to do this because the back bearing has seen better days. Yeah, there's your bearings. On the plus side, one thing we have on this side that we didn't have on the other side is the oil seal. So there's a good chance we can get a part number off them to make sure that we're getting the right bearings and the right oil seal. So we'll get this stripped out a bit further now, and then we'll start taking the Kingpin out and see where we get to with that. Right, so we've got the hub stripped down completely now. These are all the old bearings out of it. I didn't show knocking the bearing races out of the hub, just because I haven't got head mount, so it just wouldn't have been easy to do. But we do have a definite benefit in try not to turn the camera off halfway through talking, in the fact that this bearing race has come out, well, both the bearing races have come out in good condition, and from what we can see inside, the hub looks in good condition. So we can now take all measurements off these bearing races and out of this hub to establish whether this hub is any good. We've already done a little bit of a test. We've put the good bearing in a bearing race onto this end of the stub axle, and we've actually established that it's a loose fit, meaning that this stub axle unfortunately is scrap. Which, I mean, it sounds bad, but I was working on the theory that we were looking at 2 hubs, 2 sets of bearings, 2 stub axles. We've now established that we've got 1 good stub axle, hopefully. Just need to get it out and check the rest of it, make sure it's all right. We've definitely got 1 good hub. So we're bad enough, but we're not as bad as the original thought. So next job now, we'll get this stub axle out and we'll give that an assessment and see how bad that is. So I don't know how much of that you've got. I didn't realise it stopped recording, but that's your whole Kingpin. Well, that bit's your Kingpin, that bit's your half shaft, stub axle, sorry. This is all in very good condition as far as I can tell. Not even the bearings come out with it. This is a bearing that was gone on the other side. Yeah, so we were right to strip this out because the bearing's gone on this side as well, so that'll need replacing. But it's looking like that's the only damage. So also means I've got no stripping out to do on there. We'll just have to take it off and check the condition, and also I want to get rid of them 2 bolts and replace them with new. But we're about there. Right, so the last final job to get this axle stripped down is these 2 nuts here. Unfortunately, as I was worried about, they are exceptionally tight and don't want to go anywhere. So if all else fails and your spanner won't move it, your angle grinder will. If your angle grinder had a working battery in it. Right, so mental note, keep your batteries charged. I hope this is better. Nope. Right, as they say, 3rd time's a charm. So we're on to mains one. As you can see, you've got a little thin disc in here, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to cut through the middle, I'm going to cut down the side of the bolt through the nut, and hopefully we'll be able to spin it off. Right, that's one. That's hopefully is 2. Now, got the inside one. What? No, it was loose. It's loose in the hole, but it's not. Well, that's it, they're moving. So I'm sure you don't want to hear me creak and groan my way through getting them off. And we'll pick up when the bolts are off and we can slide the rest of the axle out. Right, so the other bolt put in a bit more of a fight. Required a... It's also a little bit more worn. So yeah, we'll certainly be ordering a full set of them. But that's it. That is now, until we go buying parts, all we can do. Put you down there. So there you are. That lot there is a complete strip down of the track adjustment, kingpins and hub assemblies. So I'm going to make a list of bits we need now, get them ordered, and yeah, we'll get this front axle built back up and it'll be job 1 done on the International.